They build up this theatre around it. If, as I say, if nobody stops it, it will be a Gabriel header at the front post that wins them the title on the last day.
Arsenal are the new Stoke City. Proof, in case you needed it, that ex-Man United striker Dimitar Berbatov watched last week's episode of Tactics Exposed, where we coined the phrase Mikel Pulis as we highlighted how dangerous Arsenal are from corners. And that was proved at the Emirates as Manchester United lost 2-0 to the Gunners, thanks to two second-half corner goals from the North Londoners. I, Will Pugh, am joined once again by Sun Sports tactical guru Dean Scoggins in the Tactics Exposed studio. And Dino, you have got 5 corner-specific points that are going to tell everyone why Arsenal can win the title.
Yeah, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being Stoke, OK? I covered them for a while as a reporter when they did all this stuff from long throws, and it was fantastic. It's winning games. But on these points, first of all, the 3 T's, trigger, timing and trajectory. We'll talk about that. The second one is the secret jigsaw puzzle of how Arsenal are getting in those positions. Then they've got a chaos creator. So he's the free roll in the penalty area. And then defending the undefendable. How do you do it? And what are these teams going to do this season to actually halt this, OK? And then lastly, playing for corners. You know, different to playing for set pieces or throw-ins, but absolutely don't give them corners like Marcus Rashford did.
We've got to talk, and we're going to in this episode, about the Gunners from set pieces. Arsene Wenger was he was the chief critic and hated playing against Stoke, you know, during the Pulis golden era at the Britannia as it was then, because the long throws from Rory Delap, the dark arts, as now Arsenal are being celebrated for, as Jurien Timber labelled them after they scored another corner goal against West Ham the week before. Now, point number 1, the 3 T's. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about the front post area, OK, and we'll come back to that in a second, but the delivery is just sensational, OK? So 2 Englishmen as well, Saka and Rice, so we can look forward to that, although England will probably get Harry Kane to take them. But we need to talk about the timing as well, OK? So Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka have a set routine. And this might sound sort of right into the nitty-gritty of it straight away, but it's really, really important, because when Declan Rice puts his hand up, that's the trigger.
As he's preparing to take it.
As he's preparing to take it, he puts his hand up, and that's the trigger. That's easy, right? Lots of teams do that. But what it is the trigger for the man who's the ringleader, which in this game was Havertz, because Gabriel wasn't there. So they've done all this against Man United without Gabriel as well, who's been the main threat. He then starts to run, and then the guys at the back post, who are all lined up at the back post, as we'll see, then start their run. After that, it's timing. So Declan Rice has 2 seconds to take the corner after he puts his hand up. Same as Bukayo Saka. If they take longer than that, their runners at the front post are there too early.
Yeah.
And if they're quicker than that, then the front post man's going to win. So there's the timing and then trajectory, right? Here's a quiz. How high is a goal in the Premier League?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say 1.95 metres.
So yeah, close, 8 foot. So pretty close,
that's
right?
About right,
yeah,
isn't it?
About right. And so what we're talking about here is Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka have got a window to put the ball through, OK? Obviously, it's wanting to clear the front post man, but it has to be lower than 8 foot by the time it reaches the front post, all right? That's where Rice, for me, is slightly better at it than Saka, because Rice is a flatter. We go back to talking about the Roy Delap throw-in. That's why it was so good, not just because it was run. Yeah. And so that's what Declan Rice is doing. The ball only slightly gets above 10 feet.
Yep.
And then it comes down. It's like that free kick from the edge of the box where the commentator will say, oh, he's got to get this up and down. Or this one's a bit further out, so it's easier. You think about the distance from the front post to the corner. He's effectively taking a free kick into that window. And he got so good at it, he was having a shot a couple of times, I think, on those. So, yeah, on average, Rice's set pieces, corners, are half a foot lower than Saka's.
Right.
So the trajectory from Rice is even better. Saka's is brilliant, but Rice's is even better, and it's slightly more powerful as well.
Yeah, this is based on absolutely no research, but I do feel watching Arsenal that any goals they score at the back post always tend to come from Saka's side, and perhaps he's better at those. And then Rice, as you say, as we saw last night, it's those ferocious ones whipped in at the near post, which he seems to do such a good job on.
Yeah, and they identify where the problem is. They identify the problem area. So some teams will decide we're going to put our best headers of the ball in an area of the 6-yard box. And last night, Man United put Maguire right smack bang in the middle, and then Onana is a goalkeeper who tends to come a little bit more. Man United created the little force field, which we've seen before for the teams against Arsenal, around the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So Arsenal then decide, we're not going centre. We're not going middle. We're going to go front or back. And we'll keep it away from Harry Maguire. And then it's down to them at the front post. But, you know, we see Nicolas Hover out in the technical area again. We never see him when they're defending set pieces, because he doesn't want to celebrate conceding a goal, obviously. But because they do concede the odd one from set pieces.
It would be weird, though, wouldn't it, if every time Arsenal successfully headed a corner away, he's doing these
I think he is probably
down
underneath the joy of defending. But yeah, it's slightly jarring. But what they're doing, Arsenal, is a psychology as well. You know, Hover comes out into the technical area. Arteta's standing there with him. They create the huddle. The crowd at the Emirates starts to, you know, get all edgy and nattery. And when there we go. When the huddle, where we're going to do, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. They take their time, because they build up this theatre around it, and then they deliver. And the execution of it is absolutely unreal. It's special teams NFL. We're sending that group on. This is what we're going to do. They've got 4 or 5 variations, and how do you stop it?
Yeah, well, it's funny. We've spoken about in recent episodes how football generally is becoming very much more set play patterns of play and a little bit more NFL-like. Oh, the only slight difference is I think they're going polar opposite ways contact-wise. But look, number 2, Dino, the Jigsaw puzzle. Talk to me.
Yeah, so we've got the 3 T's first. So let's assume they've got that right, okay? The timing and the trajectory being the absolute key to it. But then you've got the runners from the back post, okay? So they're then running from the back, where they create this sort of love train at the back post, and then they go to the front, than one person.
You're just trying to lure me into singing again. I'm not doing it 3 episodes in a row.
I did say if Man United won, I'd sing. So unfortunately, we didn't get there. But so they get that love train at the back post. They run to the front, other than one person who we'll come back to in a minute. And then what they do is they slot in. So if you think there's 4 defenders in that front post area, generally 4 or 5, the man at the front post, they don't get in front of. They have someone behind it. And then after that, they slot in, one in between each gap. And they make sure that they run along and slot in those gaps, one in between. What that means is, if you miss the man at the front post and then you create that jigsaw, your man is first up in the air. Then the man behind him can't win it. And then your next man jumps and the man behind him can't win it. So basically, if they get it right, you pray. And if you haven't got it sorted out at the front post, and so into a jigsaw line, and then what they do is they jump in sequence. Sounds simple. It isn't simple, because in the game you can't see the ball there. You know, anyone who's been a defender in that zone, in that 6-yard box with 8 6-foot+ guys all in that area, you know, you can't really see it until it comes to you. So they're trusting each other. They're trusting the delivery. They go to the man who goes at the front. First one jumps. As soon as the man in front of you jumps, you jump. So they create this sort of cascade of jumpers as it goes, and then one of them's going to get their head on it. And then, again, you pray.
Well, that's the thing as well, Dino. We've noticed before, haven't we? As soon as Arsenal started doing that trick, you immediately see it. You don't always see these things when you're in stadiums watching games, the things that you're so good at noticing. But with that, it was so obvious. It's like, what are they doing over there? Oh, hang on a minute. And they've done it a few times now. And even that trick where they put 2 players in between one gap, just to give them...
If they identify who the weak point is, they'll send 2 in there. But as long as they have at least 1 in each gap, they are in charge of a situation where you want the defending team to be in charge.
Point number 3, Dino, and I think I'm going to have something to say on this, because as much as you're making Arsenal sound wonderful and clever and that Nicolas Hover is the brains behind the success, this point, Chaos Man, is one that annoys me a bit.
It is, and it's one person. And bear in mind, so last night it was Havertz. In the Man United game, it was Havertz who's doing the conductor job, which is normally Gabriel. We know what Saka and Rice are going to do. Last night it was Havertz saying, right, you're going to go here, you're going to go there. And they might have numbers. They might have numbers for the jobs. It's all with the hand over the mouth. And, and
another modern day football thing I hate.
Yeah, you're number one, you're number two, you're number three. They know what those jobs are. They would have been on the board in the dressing room before. They'd have practiced it, hundreds of times on the training ground. Rice talked about repetition. We never get bored of it, Declan Rice said, which is a worry for everybody else. And then so in this game I noticed Timber a lot. And again, you were going to have something to say about Timber in the West Ham game, I'm sure. But basically it's a man to create chaos. And he doesn't follow the pattern of everybody else, because then, as a defending team, you can start to identify jobs as the day goes on. And I think Arsenal, well, I know what they'll be doing at half-time, is the analysts will be looking at Manchester United in the first half, where the weak point is. Yep. So as I said, you've got Onana and Maguire in the middle, so therefore we're not going middle, we're going front or back in this game. And so don't put it there. Second half, they scored the 2 goals, more dangerous, okay?
Yep. But one at the front, one at the back.
One at the front, one at the back. And what Timber, the chaos man, it was not always Timber, but he was the one to notice. So he's the one with the little nudge at the front post so that the man under the ball gets drawn to the ball and then shoved to the ball as well.
Yeah.
And then you've got, on another corner, he'll go somewhere else and he'll go at the goalkeeper. And then the goalkeeper's thinking on the next corner, can I come? Is he going to wipe me out halfway? It creates uncertainty. So you know where the 4 or 5 big men are going to go.
Yep.
You don't know where the chaos man's going to go. And then in a zonal marking system, that becomes a bit of a problem. Because you sort of he could be the one that scores, and it was Thomas Partey in the first half who should have scored, because he was the chaos man in that setup, and actually he got free and didn't score. So they're creating 3 or 4 different dangers from one set piece, and it's chaos.
Yeah, Thomas Partey definitely should have scored that, by the way. But what's interesting, I think, with all of this, when we talk about it here, fans can listen to that and you can see it in all the diagrams that we put up on the screen and all the clever graphics, and the analysts will be doing the same thing. Ultimately, though, you've still got, these are still human beings and footballers with sort of deeply ingrained natural instincts, right? So that chaos man, even if you're told this is what Arsenal are going to do, this is what we're going to do to counteract it, there's still footballers who've got that little instinct. If they see someone running across them, it confuses them, to go and mark them, especially defenders. So if you've got one person just sort of nosing up, if you like.
And that's key. That's really key in this, is that chaos, man.
And that's only that 1 second or so, or half a second of delay, and then it's like, oh, I've missed it by that much, and it's in.
And the goalkeeper, the coaches to goalkeepers, it will be saying, watch the ball, watch the ball, watch the ball. Yeah. Don't get distracted by somebody else. But as you say, they're human beings and an instinct. And if you're the goalkeeper and you're looking at Rice about to take it, and then all of a sudden you take 1 step to come out, and then somebody comes in front of you, you could pause. And that was enough. That is enough in this real high level, right? I'm not being critical of Arsenal here with the Stoke stuff. I'm being complimentary. This is not about, saying, this is just a nasty way to win football matches. It's a way to win football matches. I think their XG last night was something like 0.3 in open play, and they win 2-0. So fair play. Go and sort it out. And the defending teams, those other teams at the top, and particularly City and Liverpool and Chelsea, and the big games they've got to win. Spurs have got to go to the Emirates as well. They've got to work this out, because even without Gabriel, the Arsenal scoring goals and look like they're going to score at every single one.
Yeah, I know you're being complimentary, but it is impossible to ignore the irony that Arsenal were the main decriers of such football in an era where really they were good at only one element of winning football games, which was the beautiful passing football and elaborate play. But ultimately, when it came to getting a bit stuck in, or the cold, rainy nights in Stoke, as the phrase goes, that's where they lacked. But what Arteta has done, if nothing else at Arsenal, has instilled a bit of steel and a bit of grit that they will need to.
And you can see them after the game; they love it.
Yeah.
They love it. It's like we've done it again, lads. They're all, if they can all criticise us all they want, we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep scoring. We'll score corners to the title.
Yeah, well, I keep reminding my Arsenal mates of the stuff they were saying back in the early 2000s as well. So
I love that as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right, number 4, front post. Actually, I've decided, Dino, this is the point I'm going to get annoyed about. Talk to me about the front post.
Yeah, because this is defending the undefendable, okay? But there has to be a way of stopping it, right? There has to be a way of stopping it. And I think Man United had a really sound plan. And they weren't the first team to have a sound plan. I actually thought West Ham's was quite good, even though they conceded from it. And shock horror, I actually think Tottenham's was quite good as well. But amidst all of those ones, the players have made mistakes.
Yeah.
So this is not managerial mistakes, coaching mistakes, tactical mistakes. This is players on the field not carrying out what they're being told to do. Yeah. So Manchester United decided we're not just going to have one man on the front post, we're going to have 2.
Yep.
And that was really good to see. I was like, great. As soon as I saw it from the first corner, I was like, brilliant. It wasn't just Højlund there, it was Bruno as well. And Bruno is there to try and stop the Timber push.
Yeah.
He's trying that. He's there
to
stop.
Shove?
Yeah, a shove. Yeah, nudge. Well, however, you can't. The referee can't judge how strong the hand in the back is. Okay, so but he was there to help Højlund, and he didn't help him. So Bruno didn't do his job, and then Højlund didn't do his either. I absolutely went crazy at Pedro Porro in the Spurs game.
Is this for the first goal you're talking about?
This is for the near post ones. It wasn't just the goal. There was a couple before that where they had the warning. Yeah. And you saw Højlund's reaction afterwards. He knew it was his fault and he hadn't carried out his job. But what at the front post, man, is infuriating.
So what hadn't he done? What hadn't he done?
What he hadn't done was held his position.
Right.
You're there as the big, strong centre forward.
Yeah.
You have got to stop that guy getting the ball over you at the front post.
Yep.
So judge the distance correctly and get something on it. There was one occasion when I think it was Xerxes when he came on who actually got a flick on it and it was nearly an own goal. But at least he headed it.
Yep.
Whereas a couple for Højlund. So you've got to judge that front post. And what Arsenal were pushing teams literally to do is that front post man comes too close to the ball.
Yeah.
And then they're under the ball. And we talk about that window that Rice is putting the ball through.
Yep.
That window is just higher than someone can jump to head it, but low enough that it comes down to the next man. And what Bruno didn't do is stop the push man getting there.
Yep.
But Højlund then panics and starts to walk away from his front post, and he's created 3 yards. And that's more than enough. That's more than enough of a mistake. What I'd like to see someone do, for a start, getting the ref's ear, okay? Which they need to do a bit more. Teams need to be a bit more cute with this. Ref, watch that, look at that. Every time, every corner, I'm getting shoved at the front post. And then you need either someone to buy a foul early, so that then the ref's on it.
As in when they feel the nudge,
They've got to go, because Paqueta's was pathetic, where he sort of threw his hands out but didn't go down.
It was, and this is no claret and blue glasses I've got on here, but ultimately, when you look back, it was slightly different. So Timber does the little shove last night before he wins the header, okay? That was objectively a bit more of a more subtle thing. The Lucas Paqueta one, he's standing like this in the final grab we saw,
and there's almost
he shoved him in the back. Paqueta does make a meal of it, but there, I know what you're saying, but VAR then should intervene. Now, there are subjective things. But it's that. The officials surely must be aware of it.
But you've got to get in the ref's ear early, and that's my point. That's a tactic. A tactic of how we're going to defend these corners. Part of it is involve the referee and involve the referee in and Arsenal do it. Arsenal will be asking for a penalty early in a game, because then the ref's looking at defensive fouls rather than attacking ones. They're creating indecision and all over the field. But what I want to see is the front post man start on the post, okay? And then instead of standing 3 yards off the post and then naturally starting to walk towards the ball and then get caught under it, what I want to see is someone start on the front post and go, I'm going to head it. I don't care what happens, I am going to head it. So then he's running at the ball, because what we've got here is Arsenal on the move, running jumps against standing starts.
Yeah.
And running jumps versus standing starts, no contest.
Marcus Rashford, Diogo Dalot will start with the Rashford one, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, how bad was this? Like, we've there's an old clip that people should go and see later with where Boaz Myhill is playing against Stoke, and he kicks the ball out for a corner instead of a throw-in, and everyone thinks he's mad. He's like, well, it's easier to defend corners against Stoke than it is Rory Delap's throw-in. So, and then inexplicably, Rashford is given away a corner. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. He tries to flick it up.
It's just sort of
horrible
doing
piece of
kick-ups.
skill, and it goes out and gives Arsenal a corner. Arsenal score, and it was almost inevitable. When he did that, it was like the Emirates was laughing, like,
head in
here
hands,
we go. But Odegaard, at that point, is not trying to get the ball back off Rashford. He's trying to win a corner. He's not, and bear in mind that he might, if he wins it back, be able to run in and cross it. He's not. He's actually trying to get Rashford to concede a corner because they know how dangerous it is. So teams have got to stop this. They've got to stop it. So there was one in the first half where Dalot's running back towards his own goal and Martinelli's behind him. And actually, again, Martinelli is not thinking, if I nick this, I'll get through, because he's not really. It's too tight to the touchline. He's thinking, just make Dalot concede a goal. And Dalot miscontrols... And Dalot miscontrols it and out it goes for a corner. So don't give throws away against Stoke 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Don't give corners away against Arsenal.
Against modern day Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a game where you have done a fantastic defensive job against Odegaard and Saka, they've got this other way to score. So try and cut it. Look, they're going to get some corners because the goalkeeper's going to make a save and it's going to go over or deflected wide. That's fine. But the other thing is, I think there needs to be a conversation about letting them cross it in open play. How many times have you seen? I mean, and
just give them 10 and go, whatever, absolutely. Do what you want there. We're not giving you a corner.
You see lower end Premier League teams, the more bigger physical teams. You see Championship teams do it, where when they play against a Premier League team in the Cup, they go, we're okay if they cross it because our big centre halves are going to head it clear. But if we block the cross and it goes out for a corner, we're in trouble.
Dino, just to wrap up then, Arsenal good at corners, I think is what we've established here. But is it going to be enough for them to win the league, which is, again, is what they're trying to do. Still only third, still a way off of Liverpool. Is it enough?
Well, if nobody learns how to defend it, it could be enough. Because they're going into games now where they're thinking, if we keep a clean sheet, we're going to score from a corner. And if nobody stops it, they're going to be right there at the end. And, the way it's going, it will be a Gabriel header at the front post that wins them the title on the last day.